In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to transfer data from make.com to advanced custom fields within WordPress. I'm going to show you how you can synchronize lots of different data types such as text, images, and repeating groups, and then transfer those instantly to your WordPress website. I'm going to start with a very simple example where you can populate text fields within your custom fields, and then we'll get more and more advanced until we get to a scenario like this. Within ACF, I have this field group, I have this title, which is a text type, description, which is a text area, calories, which is number, an image, which is an image file, and ingredients is a repeater group. So this is just sample data of the representation of recipes within custom fields within WordPress. Within this ingredients, we have this repeater group, and we have the ingredient name, the amount, and the unit. These are the three fields that you can repeat again and again. Very importantly, you need to go down to group settings and select show in REST API. This is only an option with ACF since version 5.11, so you need to make sure you're on that version at least for this to work. I'm going to start off by creating a post and then updating that post to include data within custom fields. So we'll go to WordPress and create a post. I've selected my WordPress connection here. If you do not have a connection, you need to add a plugin on your WordPress site. So check out the link in the description where I go through that in detail. Title, I'm going to call it test, and I'm just going to add a random number at the end just so we can differentiate between them. And for test content, I'll just write test content. For type, I will just select post. You can select different post types all you want for this. That's fine. And then we'll click save. Perfect. Next, in order to transfer the advanced custom fields data, we'll go down to make an API call. For URL, type posts and then the post ID after that, and then method is post. Now for the body, it needs to be in this format. So you need to have a curly bracket and then ACF as so, and then all of your fields are within these curly brackets here. You can comma separate those. This will work fine for text and numbers. The only issue is that if you have other special characters in here, it's going to break your JSON. What you can do is copy and paste in this horrible set of nested statements here and just add in your data like that. That's a really awkward way to do it, but it's a very efficient way. Otherwise, you can use the create JSON module, which I'll do right now. So go to module and select create JSON. And then for choose a data structure, I'm going to write test ACF data structure. And we're going to copy in that exact data structure that we had. And let's see how that works. That looks good to me. So title, test title, 1, 2, 3. And then from there, instead of adding this in here, now this would work, but it just is a bit awkward if we have lots of different fields within here. I'll click save and I'll just run this module once. Okay, we have a JSON string, which is good. And then we'll go down here, we'll select that JSON string, press save again. Now we'll press run once down here. So we're creating a post within WordPress. It's creating JSON, and then it's going to make an API call to try and update that. All right, so we have a new post ID. Okay, I'm going into that test post now. Okay, it's created the post, and you can see within recipes that we have the title populated already, which is great. So let's update this to also provide the description. And then from there, you'll know that this approach works for just simple text fields like I just showed you there. So we'll go into create JSON and then edit this data structure because we want to add another one here as well. So within specification, instead of manually adding this in again, I'm going to delete what we had here entirely and click generate. And I'm going to update this spec like so, and then just copy and paste that into the sample data. And now we have the description. So I'll write test description, click save, run once again. And by the way, description is the name of the title. So if we go into advanced custom fields, you'll see the field label and the field name. The field name is what you want to use. Okay, that looks like it worked. Now I'll go into these posts and have a look. Perfect. So we have a test title and a test description. That's exactly what we want. Now that we have a proof of concept worked out for this, let's add in our Airtable base and actually start getting the data from Airtable. So I'm going to go search records. I'm going to move this to the very start. So this is our Airtable base I've set up here. We can forget about these ingredients here, which is a repeater group. Right now, we're only talking about the text fields and images. Later on, we'll get to the repeating groups. So I'm going to select this Airtable base down here. If you do not have a connection, just press add, and then you can go through the process for that. Table will be recipes. So you want to select your main table here. And then for formula, I'm going to select status equals, what is a status actually? Sync to WordPress. Click save. Now create a post. I'm now going to select the data from the Airtable records. So the title will be the name, which is over here, and the description will be the description as we see here. I'll press save and sync to WordPress. Now let's try that again. I've pressed run once. It's now going to create that post, and we now should be getting the data from Airtable now when we're running that. So I'll refresh the page here. Excellent. So now we have a title and a description. Now let's get the image data and then pass that in as well. Before we create the post, we need to add a module in here, WordPress, and select media item. So I'm going to create a media item. But before we do that, we need to get the image from Airtable. So I'll type get file. We have another video separately on how to upload media items to WordPress. So check out the link in the description for that. But right now we'll just go down to image and select URL. Click save. Within this media item, we'll press map instead of actually doing this get a file to get around the really annoying quirk within make that might override the images. So we're going to add in a timestamp at the end and then just type JPG. That's one approach that you can use. So now we should have a media item uploaded, and the result of that is that it's going to return a media ID. We can then pass the media ID into this, which is what ACF is expecting. So within here, we have a field type of image, and they want an image ID. I'm going to go back into this, create JSON. I'm going to edit that data structure, and I'm going to delete these again, just because I think it's so much easier to work with just raw JSON instead of manually doing it within this make.com editor. Now I'm just going to type in image and add in just a number. This is just an example to show make what we want. And then in curly bracket and another curly bracket, and then copy that in. Okay, so we're copying this in, press save, press save, press save. And now we have this image. So now we'll select this media item ID here, press save, and now we'll click run once. Okay, we're doing well. That has uploaded the image exactly as we want. Now, finally, we have the most awkward part of the process, which is how to deal with these recipe ingredients. Within the ingredients down here, you can add new rows, but we need a way to represent those in our system before we're syncing those to WordPress. So we're using a separate table within Airtable here. We have the item, the amount, and the unit. And when we create those, we then link those to the relevant records within the recipes here. So all you do is go to this plus icon, link to another record, like recipe ingredients, as you see here. And then once you select those, so if I am adding in new items here, I'll select the relevant main recipe. They will show up as we see over here. Then once we get that data within the main scenario, we see it returns this array of IDs that we can then grab and then grab the data from that. But we need to use an iterator because we're only getting IDs. So we'll need to create a router and then right click here, go to order routes and move that to the top because we want this to occur first. And then we're going to create an iterator like so, and then select the recipe ingredients from there. Then afterwards, we're going to go to Airtable and select get a record. Airtable base will be this correct base we want. And then make sure to select your second table, which is the recipe ingredients table, and then the ID from the iterator itself. Click save. After that, we're going to have to go to a create JSON module and select add. So this is the kind of data structure you want to represent what you see down here of the ingredient name, the amount, and the unit. So we need to construct these individually and then combine them later on. So what we'll do is we'll copy this out, go to generate. We're going to call this the ingredients data structure, and then click generate and then copy that in and click save. And then from there, we want to select the records. So the item, the amount, and the unit from this recipe ingredients table. So we got the ID from that recipe ingredient, and now we're going to pass it into this create JSON. When that's done, we want to aggregate all of that text together. And very importantly, when we're using this aggregator, this is an aggregator that will close off the loop from the first iterator. So we need to select the iterator within that. And the text is the JSON string that we created from this. And then under advanced settings, we want to separate these rows by a comma. And now I'll click save. Finally, we need to parse that JSON. We're going to select that JSON and parse it and set variable. So we now should have that overall JSON. I'll show you all of this in a moment. I'm going to run this right now. I'm going to unlink this and I'm just going to run this part of the logic to show that iterator working. So I've received this error here. So it's combining this JSON together. I think we need these square brackets here and here. Let's start again. Try again, click run once, click run anyway. Okay, perfect. Now we have a bundle of these, which is what we want. Now we need to reference this in this second part of the flow, which is a little bit confusing. We can do this using a variable. So we need to go to set variable here. We're going to call this variable name ingredients, and then the value of that will be this. Okay, this is where make gets kind of awkward. I'm going to call this ingredients list and construct it like so. This is effectively an array list within this array item. I know this is getting quite technical, but I press save and now we have ingredient list. So now we'll no longer have unit there. We can refer that as ingredients list like so, and then click save. Perfect. So what I just did there of copying the ingredients list item name into this variable was just a quick way for us to do it quickly without us having to rerun the entire scenario before this ingredients list part shows up over here. So we click save. So we've set the variable as ingredients. Now down here, before we get a file, we're going to add a module and click get variable. And we're going to get variable, and the variable name will just be ingredients. Now within this create JSON, we need to update the data structure so it will now accept this repeating array. So I'll click edit. Now we need to copy and paste in this entire data structure. I'll click generate like so, and click save again. Now I'll open this up last time. So for calories, we want to map that to calories as received within Airtable. And then the ingredients here, we want to map this to the ingredients variable, like so. Now we'll run this entire scenario again. Click run once. Perfect. So it looks like it got that variable correctly. It's created the media item. It's created the JSON, and it has made the API call. So let's have a look at that within WordPress. Excellent. So now we have the title, description, the image, and we have all of the items within the repeating group. Finally, in practice, what you're going to want to do is within Airtable is to update a record and then update that field to update the status so that it does not keep triggering it again and again and again. So go to table, recipes, and then within the record ID, select the record ID at the very start, which is this, and the status of that, uncheck map, and then select done. Click save. So that's going to then change that to done. I'm going to move this to sync to WordPress, and now it should sync this item to WordPress. Okay, that's done. Perfect. It's synced it all correctly. We have the image, we have this repeating group, and this has updated the status within Airtable. Keep in mind here that we're separating the process between creating the post and updating the post. If you have existing posts within WordPress, you could have a separate field here for post ID, and then pass that into this section within this make an API call. I believe there are plugins to actually show the post ID within this main post edit screen, or you can do a dump of the database, or there's plenty other methods to do so. Or you can right click and copy link address, and you see the post ID at the very end of the URL. This JSON construction part is the most complex of the entire process. If you're having trouble with it, what you could do is go to the tools section within ACF, click recipes and export as JSON, and then copy that into ChatGPT, copy in this format, show ChatGPT the example format. So, you could say something like, this is an example format, and then underneath that, adapt this to suit the following JSON fields from ACF in WordPress. And then basically copy and paste in this export as JSON at the very end. You might need to adapt it a bit, but as long as you follow this format in general, it should work for you. If you want to get way ahead in your AI automation journey, then check out the link in the description to our community, where you'll get access to all of our automation templates. You'll get instant access to all of these courses with more on the way. You can get support from us via our live workshops and through our active discussion boards.